We be live. Hi,
What?
Susie's back. Yay! I told you guys Susie will be back. Susie's back. Yay. Okay. Wow, so many people in the chat are so excited. Already people were so like, oh my god, Susie. Yeah, so yeah. Welcome back, Susie. This is great. How are you? We missed you.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. We've been talking for like 30 minutes and all of a sudden I feel like all like awkward and shy right
Oh.
now. Yeah.
Yes. Tell us, how have you been?
People are so sweet. Oh god, I'm gonna get emotional. Oh my god. Armin, this is your fault. I'm doing better. Like, I don't know. It's a little bit of a weird situation. Like, uh, there's a part of me that feels like I like owe people an explanation, but then another part of me that's like, I don't have to justify myself on like what I need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't even know how to. I don't know. I had a little bit of a situation. What, almost like 6 to 8 weeks ago, and basically, I don't know. It's weird because I know what a depressive episode feels like very well. So I wasn't going through a depressive episode because I know what that feels like, and that wasn't it. But I was just going through like a really weird, challenging part of my life. And because of that, like, I was so, I guess you could say, kind of like raw, that the prospect of coming back like every week, especially with the news, was just too overwhelming for me.
Right.
Like, the way that I would explain it is basically I've been doing this for like 5 years, and I usually have an ability to cope with it, you know, because it's not easy to constantly be like monitoring the news and trying to pick stories and find things to cover, especially when so much of what we cover is so brutal and like so difficult and so hard. And basically I kind of got pushed into this like crisis of meaning, and the meaning just like dropped out of the bottom of my life. It's one of the weirdest experiences I've ever gone through, because like I said, it's not depression. I know what that feels like. It's not that. But because I used to have this way of making meaning that like would protect me psychologically, right? They would make going through the difficult things like worth it or easier. And like all of a sudden I didn't have that. So the idea of continually exposing myself to some of the most horrific things that go on in this world, because we mostly cover Islamism, you know, which is something that I'm still very passionate about and very interested in. It's just a brutal thing to be interested in.
Right. Yeah.
I suddenly I was having this like physical sensation of like, I literally cannot touch this. Like, I cannot expose myself to this, because I suddenly became aware of how deeply, like how how emotionally controlled I was becoming by, constantly like exposing myself to this and like exposing myself to these really serious and dark problems in this world. It was
Mm-hmm.
really impacting me. It was impacting my mood. It was impacting, how I think to myself. It was impacting my friendship and relationship to Armin, like, and how I treated him. Like, it wasn't good. And
Oh.
and so I needed to like take a chill pill. It helped a lot, let me tell you. Like, I I basically could I was not on social media for at all. Like, I took in no news. Like, apparently there were riots in LA. Like, I don't need to know about that. Like, I went full ignorance is bliss. It was awesome. Because I realized I was like, when I strip everything else back and my life just becomes like, what I have to do for work, my life becomes what is literally immediately outside of my door in my neighborhood when I go for a walk. If my world becomes only that, I actually have an amazing life. You know what I mean? And so I kind of
Mm.
needed to just focus on that to be like, I'm actually fine and things are okay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I started listening exclusively to like really traditional music. So I'd listen to like really, really traditional, like Iranian classical music and like Orthodox chants. And like that's it. It's just me vibing with the Orthodox chants. And yeah, that's what I've been up to. But I missed everyone a lot. And um I felt really, I don't know how to put it, like I missed everyone. I felt like I was, I don't know, like abandoning people or something. It was hard. Um and yeah. Oh my gosh, when you made Armin, when you made the post, oh my god, I don't want to cry.
It's okay. You could cry if you want.
Uh I don't know about like, leave your comments for Susie and appreciate her. Like,
Which post? Tell people.
well, I don't know. I don't know how long ago it was, but you just like
I made
emailed.
a post. I made a post telling people that if you want to tell anything to Susie, leave a comment, and people left a lot of comments. And then you read those comments.
Oh my god, I like instantly made me cry. Like, I don't know. It meant a lot to me.
Oh, thank you guys for leaving a comment under those
I
posts.
don't know. It's hard and it's gonna sound stupid to people, but like a lot of times, like I don't think people like me, and I don't think anyone cares. um,
Those comments prove that people do care because you felt like nobody really cares. But
yeah.
the comments,
So it really meant so much to me.
no.
It really meant so much to me. Um, it was so funny too because I was just hanging out with my boyfriend, and he's like, "Oh, look, there's this." Cause he subscribed to the channel, and so it comes up on his feed. He's like, "Oh, there's this post about you. Like, look at this." And he just hands me his phone, and I start looking through the comments, and I'm just sitting on the couch, and it's like immediately like, "Bah!" And I start crying so hard, and I cried for like 10 minutes straight, and he was like, "I was not expecting." Like, it hit him out of nowhere. Um, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Amichai is saying, I think it was kind of because Armin got sick of us constantly nagging him about where Susie is all the time. I felt bad about that. I felt bad
Yep.
about that. Everyone like blaming Armin, like, did you get rid of her? Like, where is she? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, it's not his fault. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah.
But you were a little pessimistic about the whole world for a while.
Oh
And
yeah,
also
it
you
was
mentioned
not
something.
good.
Yeah. Also, you
Basically,
mentioned something about treating me badly. Like I didn't get that part. Like you weren't treating me. Like what? I didn't get that.
I mean,
Like what do you say?
no, I just mean in the sense that, like, when you're not feeling like yourself, like, it's natural that your way of relating to other people is going to be affected and not what it usually is. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh, D, you're so sweet. Um, and I, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, what part of what pushed me over the edge was learning about the fertility crisis into
Yeah.
pushed me
Yeah.
into a full existential crisis.
By the way, can you say hi to Nima because Nima really is
Hi,
happy
Nima
that you.
Jun, Darud, our
But
most loyal
yeah,
soldier.
I mean, like, guy, like that was very that I like. Can I tell people about some of our discussions a little bit or no? Can I
I
say?
don't know. I don't know if I'll go back.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, sure. What do you want to say?
No, I just was like, I was going like because you weren't on the show, but me and Susie were chatting behind the scenes a lot, and we were meeting, and many times Susie, like many of our discussions, was just Susie yelling about the fertility rate. Like we're meeting and she's angry and she's upset, and then like, okay, what are you upset about? The fertility rate, the low fertility rate. I'm like,
The
okay.
birthright crisis.
I'm like, how could we claim that we are on team life if we are so anti creating life? And,
I actually still think that's a very valid point and a discussion that needs to be had. I'm so honest. I'm so honest. Like, for weeks, I've been like, there is nothing. I don't know. I can do a lot of good in my life, but I still personally feel like there will be nothing as good that I can do other than having many children. I think that is the best thing that I could do for the world. But that's a whole separate
Right.
topic. Um,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, it's not just Islam. There's a lot of, I think, progressive, so-called progressive values that were pissing you off, a lot, and you think like you thought the world was going in the wrong direction in so many ways, right? So,
I think what it
um,
is like I have lived my whole life in cities that are on the far end of being so-called progressive. And yeah, well, um, dude, I do worry about these young kids. They don't have connection with other people.
right,
Um, but basically, like, I've lived my entire life in these cities that are on the extreme end of being progressive, and there's just so much about this culture that I hate and I think is so damaging to people. And because I'm a person that cares about other people, I get pissed at the way that I think this culture is going to damage people and lead them to be less happy over the course of their lifetime. Um, and so I was like, so like, this fucking culture. But because this has been my whole life in this specific context, like, um, I don't always remember that the rest of Western culture is not like this. You know, if I had grown up my whole life in very conservative cities, I would have way more criticism of very right wing stuff, right? but I've lived my whole life in like the most brain dead lefty cities, that's what is the monkey on my back. Like
Right,
my
right,
demon.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sketch therapy is correctly pointing out that most USA is not like that. Also, a very sweet thing that I appreciate sketch therapy thing is that I bet she'd be a great mom. I,
Oh,
I tell her that often. Yes. I think Susie would be one of the best moms ever.
yeah.
Um,
Right.
Jack was, by the way, anti-Islam. It was saying, "Ratatatata is back." Yeah. Also, Jack is saying, "What kind of so-called progressive values annoyed you?"
Oh my god, where do I begin? Um, basically, also let me know if you can hear this freaking garbage truck out my window.
Yeah,
Can you
we
hear
can
it?
hear it a little bit, but it's
Okay.
fine. We could deal with it.
Basically, I have come to a point in my life where I'm much more conservative on family issues, and I
Mm.
don't think I don't even know how conservative I am. I just am in comparison to everyone around me. So
Right.
people are going to be like, I don't know, Susanna, I don't think that's that conservative compared to my environment. I am. Like, I believe that most people will be most happy if they were in a marriage in their life.
Mm.
I believe that most people would be most happy if they were married with children in their lifetime. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that people would probably be more happy potentially if they married younger. That's a
Mm.
belief I'm not as firm on, but it's something that I think is important. Like I think that hookup culture is sick. I think that it makes us sick. I think that there are many aspects of the sexual revolution that do not serve women,
Mm.
that are not pro women, that are not actually very feminist, so to speak. I think that
Yeah.
people should have more children. I think that I think it's really upsetting how, at least again, the culture that I'm in, treats creating a family as like just another lifestyle choice instead of basically like the best thing that you could do for your community.
Right.
Um, I think that uh, again, like culture that I'm in treats creating a family like very flippantly. I think it uh, is actually like really looked down on. If you're a woman that wants that passionately, it's almost seen as like backwards. Like I'm
Right.
someone that has personally decided that I am not going to pursue my career to my highest potential until I've created my family, because
Mm.
that's what's more important to me. Like, what I don't know, what is the point of having a career? What is the point of having the money? For me, the like it has to serve something. You know, just being ambitious in and of itself is not an end goal. Like the ambition has to serve something. What does it serve? For me, it's the family I want to create. And I don't meet a
Yeah.
lot of people like that in the environment that I'm in. It's not easy to find a culture that is family centered. Um, and I think that our culture, pop culture, media, whatever, treats relationships between men and women extremely transactionally.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people do this under the guise of feminism. A lot of people do this under the guise of like manosphere empowerment. They're both as toxic. Like anyone who plays into this whole sex war thing they're all miserable and they want other people to be miserable. Because at the end of the day, gay people excluded, I believe that men and women are ultimately happier together. So
Yeah, I mean, even gay people.
it
I mean,
drives
even
me
gay people.
crazy.
I mean, I think even gay people are happier in a family.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
this is gonna sound weird to people, but over the past couple of weeks, I literally started attending a local Orthodox church. One, because I've been vibing with the chanting. Okay.
Yeah.
I go there and I
I've
vibe with
done
the
that.
Orthodox chanting. Um, and also because I literally I was like, where can I go to be surrounded by a pro-family culture? Like, I literally just want
Mhm.
to go somewhere and see young families and not have it be weird or creepy. Okay, I guess I'll go to an Orthodox church. Like, they like that. But
Right.
that I don't know. It's gonna sound weird to people, but like that's what all that's available to me.
No,
Um,
that's actually not weird at all because that's what I have been saying for years. For atheists, a lot of atheists are trying to create parallel environments where they could have the rituals, the traditions, and the community, and they make atheist churches and stuff like that. And I always tell atheists, like, why do you have to make like just go to like you don't have to believe in this stuff. Just go to the churches. Just go to I mean, the problem is that like just go to the synagogue and just go to the church. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with Islam like that. But you don't like they're not going to kick you out if you don't believe in the stuff. Just go there. It's already there. Why do we have to there's no rules in atheism that tells you that you're not allowed to go in a goddamn church.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
been very interesting. Like because I've talked to the priest. Like one of the fathers is like probably within 10 years of my age, and I'm very honest with them and the people that I chat with there, that I'm not a Christian. And
Right.
they're totally chill. They're totally fine. They're like, well, glory to God, you're here. If you have any questions, let us know. And I'm just there to hang out. It's also very interesting on a personal note because I grew up Roman Catholic to see the difference between Orthodoxy. Um, because I'm a nerd, it's so interesting um, to see the difference in the liturgy, to see the difference with taking the sacred species, like almost from an anthropological point of view. I'm like, oh, whoa, like seeing the differences in the rituals is very, very interesting. Like last Sunday, I saw a woman get her chrismation, and I was like, whoa, this is so different. But at the same time, things are very, very similar to being Catholic. So I don't know. It's
Right.
very, very interesting.
So Shauna, what is this? PNW? Where is
Oh,
that?
Sean is saying I'm in the Pacific Northwest, born and raised, so I feel you. My neighbors are infuriating. Hey, I mean, you got a native Seattleite right here, girl. We're on the same wavelength, okay? Grew up in Seattle, lived 10 years in San Francisco. We're in the pits.
Right. By the way, I want to respond to Nico here because I was like Nico saying Armin, Christians aren't really the type of people I want my kids to be around. Honestly, if I was in the US in one of the more woke cities, I would be considering putting my kids in maybe in a Catholic school, just to be safe, just to make sure that my kids are safe from the woke mind virus, just to make sure that my kids are not going to be brainwashed with all the wokeism in those cities. I might actually put my kid in a Catholic school if I was in one of those cities.
Oh, I've decided that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
100%. Because I mean, look, I people are gonna be upset. I honestly do not want my kids to know about any transgender stuff while they are a minor for as long as possible. And in my state, unless you're at a private school, that's mandated. And in my state, we have laws where your child can basically be taken away from you if you are not sufficiently affirming of them being trans. And there are ways where they can be exposed to pediatric gender care without your consent. And that's literally my worst nightmare. So I will move heaven and earth before I let that happen.
Right.
And also, my opinion is like, I would rather have my child in an education setting that is more conservative than I am, and I can tell them to dismiss that. You know, like, okay, well, they say this, you know, you don't have to believe that, blah, 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 versus they're in an environment that is more progressive or leftist than I am, and I have to try to pull them back. I think the second is way
Mhm.
worse and way more difficult. So it
Right.
is what it is.
Nilüfer saying, "Welcome, Susanna. We miss you. Thank you, Armin, for the Iran-Israel coverage. We're welcome." And actually, we're gonna get,
Oh,
because
thank
Susie
you.
got back into the news because of what happened. So we're gonna be talking about that with Susie as well and her takes on it. But yes, so Nilüfer is happy that you're back. And Ven is saying, "Are you familiar with Malcolm and Simon Collins? They touch upon a lot of the same stuff. If so, thoughts? Are you familiar with that?"
Collins. I'm better with faces. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. These people, Simone and Malcolm Collins, I am passingly familiar with them, but they're really, really big in the pro-natalist space. They're a little bit kooky. They're a little bit
Mm.
kooky. But you know, who doesn't? I love a kooky person. But yeah, they're very interesting. Very, very interesting kooky people that just want more people to have a lot of babies. So yeah, I've seen interviews with them, and it's like, how would you say, like, that's a character. That's a character right there, you know? But good on them.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, we got so many memberships. We got 70 memberships, 50 from Mahdi Gimon, 50 memberships. So I don't know what that's really impressive. Thank you so much. That's crazy, guys. Memberships are one of the best ways to support this channel. And then Darko, another 20 memberships on top of that. So just 70 memberships right at the beginning of the channel, which is crazy. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Speaking of membership, Ginga is celebrating 4 months of membership by saying, "Susie, why wouldn't you just move to a less authoritarian state?" I like the moves.
Because most of my family is here, and also my boyfriend's work. So
Right.
pretty pragmatic.
Okay, another thing, by the way, somebody was asking thoughts on sex work. That's another thing that pisses you off, I think. The normalization of sex work among women. That's something that gets on your nerve a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think like girls at this point are literally like groomed into OnlyFans. I think it's horrible. I think it's degrading. Um, I actually, I don't know. I've changed my mind a lot. I think it's pretty unethical, you know, and like the exception
Mm.
does not disprove the rule. um, yeah, I
I,
feel a lot of disgust. I feel a lot of disgust.
I think a small percentage of it existing in society is inevitable and normal. The problem is when it's pushed as something, the normalization of it. I think it's and is pushed to something that is the lack of awareness of the consequences and the shame associated with it and the backlash and the lack of ability to create a family with while having that background. Like a lot of people are told, a lot of young women are told about it not being immoral without actually being quite educated about the social consequences in being involved in that. And a lot of them end up regretting getting into it once they realize that starting a family is going to become extremely difficult if you have any I mean, like, no matter how much society tells you that there's no shame and there's no guilt with sex work, men at the end of the day, I mean, they could deny this. They might even cheer you on being into sex, going into sex work, but they will not see you as wife material. They will not choose you. Even the men that cheered you on and congratulated you and were trying to be liberating, those very same men, they might even get turned on by you. They might even uh, even like you even more, that because you're in the sex industry or whatever, or not judge you personally, but they would not ever they will consider you as maybe temporary partners, but the vast majority of those very same men would never consider you as a wife. And you're, and and again, it seemed like the most happy a woman could be is in a family with a husband. It seems like and that's why you're destroying your future. And again, I think it makes sense for a society to have some sex work, because you cannot have no sex work, like, obviously. But I think it becomes unnatural and a disease once it's being pushed as something, is being normalized to that degree. So I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like really it's especially with OnlyFans, like people act like it's a get rich quick scheme. And like, let me tell you something about this life, guys. Okay, this life is all about delayed gratification. This life is all about delayed gratification. Short money will be fast money, it'll be gone money. You know, like it's it and because of the way that sex positive culture has evolved over the years, it's now in this attitude of like, I should be able to go do whatever I want. And if I have a partner in the future that has a problem with that, that problem that they feel inside of themselves is actually a deficiency on their part and a deficiency against their character because they feel upset about my past behavior. And I think that's totally unreasonable. I think that's delusional, actually. That you're just supposed to go do whatever, and like your future partner, who you might love and be like literally the perfect person for you, is supposed to have zero feelings about anything. It's not how we work as humans. And so, if that's the case, that this is just fundamentally not how we work, um, then to lie to young women and say otherwise is a disservice. And you should be saying, like, you're essentially smoking meth, but for your love life. Like,
Yes.
it's such a lie. Um, it drives me
I'm,
crazy. That's what I was complaining about, Armin. Remember, I was saying like there are so many lies in our culture, and it
yeah.
drives me crazy. It makes me so upset. Um, and because these lies are lies that I believed and have led me to regret my choices and been less happy and caused me great
Right.
pain. And so, of course, me, just my personality type, like I get upset that I know that other people are going to be going through that pain and that loss and that grief.
Yeah, and you know what they always do is they find that one OnlyFans girls that manage to create a family with children and no problem, and they also find that guy that doesn't have any problem with marrying a sex worker and has no issues, and they use anecdotal evidence to make a point. And like, and like, what are you like? Oh, like, well, I'm a man. I don't care. I can marry a sex worker. I have no issues. Like, okay, that's not statistics. That's what but
Yeah,
that's not
but
what
what
the
about your
numbers show.
teenage son in 14 years?
Yeah, I mean, even they might even have no. I mean, you will always find example of somebody that made it work, even with like a. I mean, like they have a son. Like, hey, your mom used to be a sex worker. Okay, like, yeah, I have no problem with that. Okay, yeah, sure.
I
You're
doubt
going
that.
to be able to. I mean, you doubt. I mean, when the numbers are large, you will be able to find examples for everything. I'm just saying that's not. Even if you find an odd, exceptional situation, that is not a good way to make decisions. I will be able to, like, for example, I would be able to find somebody that is 100 years old, or 90 years old, healthy right now, and he has smoked all his life. Okay, are you going to tell me that smoking is healthy because I've managed to find you a 90-year-old that has smoked all his life and he's 90 years and he seems to be very healthy? That's not how we come to conclusions. We know based on numbers and based on studies that smoking kills and it's very unhealthy. So just using examples like that is a uh, very dumb way to come to conclusions. We're like, hey, I don't care. I don't care. I could marry a sex worker. Like, and
Yeah,
yeah, you're not what the numbers show.
yeah. It just drives me
Yeah.
crazy. And like, I'm obviously not talking about people that are trafficked or people that have to do survival sex. You know, those are totally different circumstances. Those are totally different circumstances. Um, and what Armin said, it's like, oh well, that's always going to exist in society. Like, I don't personally think that, like, that doesn't make it okay. Like, we can have a realistic attitude and still be like, I wish that wasn't true. I wish that wasn't the case. You know, like, that just because it's always going to exist in society doesn't mean that that is not damaging for the people that are in that scenario.
Yeah.
And I
Actually,
don't
can
know,
I?
people just seem so delusional about it. I started doing research about, like, what happens to sex workers, like what happens to their bodies after Lily Phillips did that sleeping with 100 man in one day thing. I started to do research into what happens to a woman's body physically, anatomically, after doing that kind of stuff. It's horrific. It oftentimes
Yeah.
requires surgical intervention. This is serious stuff. This is self-harm. It's
Mm.
self-harm. I really believe it's self-harm, and we're just supposed to, like, sit back and, as a woman in today's society, I'm supposed to be like, woo girl. There was one
Right.
girl who was doing a, how can I say this for YouTube? Let's just call it a booty hole marathon as a contest with Lily Phillips.
You.
She had to get surgery afterwards and was posting about it and posting about what her recovery was like. I'm supposed to ignore how devastating that is for a woman and say that that's positive? What the? And okay, that's empowering. Like, what? I can't go along with that anymore. I can't go along with it anymore.
Right. But we've got a super chat by A saying, "Welcome back, Susie." Thank you, guys. Thank you for the super
I
chat.
love
I
your
appreciate
avatar, by the way. That's so funny. It's like an angry
that.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Wait, let me see.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. By the way, let me respond to this because this is very relevant to what you were talking about. Jack is saying, but are these problems? I have two answers to this. Okay, but are these problems of sex work caused by sex work directly or due to society's views on sexuality? Okay, first of all, let me be clear. A certain amount of sex work in society is inevitable. Okay, we're only talking about the normalization of it, the glorification of it, and the lies they tell a lot of young women about the lack of consequences of entering into this industry. That's what we're talking about, right? Also, when you talk about it being caused by society, first of all, it's not. I'm not convinced that it's entirely society. I think a lot of it is just the nature of how men look at value women, right? I think it's in our DNA. So I don't think it's all society. I think a lot of it is genetic. But even if it was all society's views on sexuality, so what? It's still part of the consequences. Like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to tell a young woman to enter this industry knowing what the consequences are likely going to be, and be like, well, it's not her fault, it's society's fault. Well, whether it's society's views fault, the current conditions is going to make her have huge consequences. It's going to cause her having huge consequences for her entering this industry. So you could blame it on society, but that's not going to make the consequences go away.
Yeah. Also, Jack, I would encourage you to study some evolutionary psychology a little bit. Let me tell you, studying evolutionary psychology will quickly disavail you of these beliefs that just it's social constructionism all the way down. It's not. This is feelings of jealousy, betrayal, competition are so innate, totally innate to who we are as primates. And turning around and pointing the finger back at the people that feel a type of way about that prior behavior and saying that you're the problem is just simply not realistic. It's not based in reality. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of fertility rates and having the right balance of liberal values, that it is not going full on woke, we could talk about Israel, okay? Because Israel is I think the only advanced country in the world that has a very high fertility rate. I'm checking right now. It's 2.89. So close to 3.
Is that mostly because of the Haredim?
I don't know. I hope not. But it is, I mean, the most among all advanced nations. It's the only one that is not just about the not just above the replacement rate, but is high above the replacement rate. Is are secular Jews in Israel, are they also above replacement rates, or is this just the Orthodox community that is doing that? Oh, some sketch therapy is saying Poland also. I think Poland is top 5. Is Poland?
I thought Poland plateaued.
Yeah, Poland.
My boyfriend was doing all this research into
nope. Poland is 1 point.
Europe.
Poland is 1.26. It's way below the replacement rate.
Apparently, a lot of pro-natal policies that governments have tried to take, they get a short jump, and then there's a plateau.
Right.
Yeah, Dia saying I have 3 kids and they're all pro-pally. I can't reach them, so we don't talk about it. Yeah, that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah. The reason why I mentioned Israel, because
I mean, what is more important, like maintaining a relationship with your child, or feeling like you're right?
Yeah. You don't have, your children don't have to have the same views as you. For you, the more important thing is having a relationship with them. I agree with that. Bar saying greetings from Israel. When are you visiting us? Yeah, a lot of people are talking about.
I don't know, but I gotta figure it out.
Yes, and exactly, because when you were talking about like these views and values, people were talking about come to Israel, Habibi. Sarah was saying that, and also One Day Freedom was saying, Susanna, need to visit Israel to see a pro-family environment. Yeah, when I was in Israel, I got the sense that even secular Israelis were also very pro-family. It wasn't just a religious community. That's my sense. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think in Israel, am I right, guys? The secular community in Israel is also very pro-family.
This person
is that correct?
You are right. Not only the religious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Armin, 100%. Okay, good. And also, like, I might be too optimistic, but I used to be worrying about the fact that in Israel, the ultra Orthodox are having more babies than the secularists. But I honestly think that they're making babies for us. I really don't think that the religious community is going to be able to maintain the very religious community. Okay, I think that they're not going to be able to keep them in a bubble. Okay, so I think that even if the religious community is having more babies, they're creating more babies for for us. So let them have let them have their babies.
Oh, dude, it's so rough. Like,
Right.
I get really upset about the rate of children in the US that are born to parents who are not married and will never be married. I literally think that that's one of the most harmful things you could ever do to your child. Um, and but then there's also part of me that's like, we just need more kids. Fuck it. So, uh, um,
Wait, we got two more super chats.
Sean is saying, I'm glad to know that I'm not the only Seattle survivor that arrived at the base pro-Israel position. You know, you kind of just need to find the right people. It's a small group, but we exist. Especially because I'm involved with the Iranian community. Like, we're typically on the same page. I am Kipa is saying, I wish I could go on vacation in Iran already. Facts. Oh my goodness, yes. You know, that's what's kind of weird about the weird evolution. I don't even know what to call it. What I've been going through the past 6 weeks is that because of this like crisis I had, it's weird to say this, but the war between Iran and Israel kind of like snapped me back.
Yeah,
Like,
you got back
I'm
into it.
feeling like myself again. Like, but it's weird to say that. I don't know.
Yeah. By the way, Nico, you're saying France is doing good job as well. I just checked their fertility rate. They're also way below replacement rate. So I don't know. But yeah, so Susie, you got back into the news because of the Israel versus the Islamic Republic war. Tell us what happened. How did you get back into it?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know. It was one of those situations where it just the easiest way to put it is like it reminded me what was important to me. You know what I mean? Um and so like reaching out to a lot of friends, checking in on them and their family. I actually felt kind of bad because it took me like 2 days to reach out to some of our friends in Israel cuz I'm like, I just know you guys are going to be so much safer. Like, I'm not saying it's perfectly safe, but it's much safer than people in Iran. Um, and it, I don't know how to put it. It brought back so many memories of like, my friends, people I've known, their faces, their stories, what they've gone through, what they sacrificed. And it's so it's been such a whiplash whirlwind over the past 2 weeks. Like every hour, like what's gonna change from the hour before? Um, and it's pretty rough right now, to be honest. Like on Sunday, like I had this kind of thing where I had this kind of delayed emotion. Like all of a sudden on Sunday, all the emotions from everything happening for like the 10 or so days prior like hit me, and I just started crying because I don't know, basically the situation that we're in right now is the worst case scenario that I was that I was crying about on Sunday. On Sunday things hadn't happened the way that they did now, but then what we have now like is the worst case scenario that I was distraught about, because I was trying to communicate things to my boyfriend who, doesn't know too much about this conflict or history. And I was like, the idea of keeping this regime in power right now, like, they're going to come so hard after their own people because they have no one else. They have no one else that they can be strong against. They're so fucking weak. They're so weak. And I was losing my mind over the weekend, people talking about World War III. I can't really blame people. Most people don't know anything. And so I can't really blame them, right? Like, when Qasem Soleimani was assassinated, this was actually before I knew anything about Iran. And I actually went to a no war with Iran protest, like, when that happened. When was that? Like, the very beginning of January 2022? No, 2020, right? Yeah, like 5 years ago. And I saw what people were like, and I thought it was going to be World War III, and then nothing happened because the Islamic Republic is so weak. And I know that they're weak because I've been studying it for so long, and I know how bad their operations are overseas. So when people are talking about World War III, I'm like, what are they going to do? Who is going to come to their defense? China? What a joke! What a joke! I was like, the best that they can do is go attack some random Israelis, attack some random Jews, hire some Eastern European Russian criminal gangs, hire the Hells Angels to try to do a hit on someone random, or they'll try to mobilize some random Pakistani Shia from Texas that they put through their educational pipeline and try to mobilize that person. Because this is all their history of transnational repression. Like, that's the best that they can do. Not saying that that's great, but this is not World War III. So I'm like, why are people believing the saber rattling? Why do they believe the saber rattling? And so the only people that they can crack down on and punish is their own people. And I'm absolutely heartbroken about it. Like, there was news yesterday that they've already arrested like 700 people, accusing them of espionage for Israel. And I'm like, fuck, it's happening already.
Mm.
And
So,
it's so heartbreaking. And I was talking to a friend about it, and she was under this belief that, oh, well, Trump is saying this, he's saying that, but I think he actually is going to do this, he's going to do that. It's a chess game. Like, they know what they're doing with each other, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, the whole thing about, oh no, we're going to wait 2 weeks and then we bombed Fordo like 2 days later. That's a different scenario. Like, Petraeus was talking about the whole 2 weeks thing was so that they could move certain naval units into the region. Whatever. So, but when people are like, oh no, this is really some deeper stuff going on, things are going to change. When we have Trump coming out and saying what he's saying, and then yesterday, Bibi was coming out and basically saying that they would have destabilized the regime further for the sake of regime change if they had assessments that would work. So they're implying that it's not going to work.
No. BB is saying that to make for the sake of Trump.
Oh my God.
BB's
that actually helps make my point. The point is that when these leaders are saying these things, regardless of whatever purpose and 3D underwater chess they're doing, the message that they're sending to the Iranian people is one that is only going to lead to the deepest despair and desperation and resignation. Because it's like, no, I should believe what you're saying out of your mouth. What the fuck are you telling me? Like, this is just going to lead to, like, the lowest morale possible. They said, oh no, it's all
Well,
3D underwater chess, blah, 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 as if the words coming out of their mouth have no impact on the morale of the people. Like, the message being sent is that,
well,
no, you really are on your own. You're 100% on your own.
okay,
He's
but let's be
talking
fair.
about China taking their oil and that how they need money to rebuild because they just went through a war and they fought so bravely.
Okay,
What
okay, but
kind
let
of
me give.
message is that supposed to be sent?
Can I give you some excuses for optimism? And I'm
Please.
gonna do this later, like after we do our stream. I have a stream that I'm gonna go complain about all on the Persian channel, because the morale right now in both Iran and Israel is low. They're kind of disappointed, both sides, with the ceasefire. Okay, especially in Iran. And I'm gonna first of all go in that live stream with the Iranians who watch me on the Persian channel, and I'm gonna at first also be pissed off, and I'm gonna share the frustration. I'm gonna start complaining. And again, I know sketch therapy that Trump might tomorrow come and say something good, again tomorrow. Again, I'm gonna praise him when he says something good. Like right now I'm pissed, okay? Just let me be pissed, please. And I'm gonna complain about it. However, I'm gonna remind people on the Iranian live stream that the only reason why they're disappointed is because their hopes were increased to a very high level when Israel started the attacks. Okay? If you compare where we are right now compared to the optimism people had at the beginning of the attacks, then we are at a lower point compared to what we thought that could happen. However, if you compare where we are right now compared to just a few days before the attack started, we are in such a better situation. Like, we would have never imagined in our wildest dreams for the Islamic Republic to be hit so much, be weakened by this level in such a short amount of time. We are in such a greater position. Like, the toppling of the Islamic Republic has been pushed ahead by a significant degree in a way that none of us could have dreamt about in our wildest dreams. So we're only disappointed because our comparison point is just too high. Do you know what I mean? But things have been great. I mean, again, it's not going to be great for the Iranians who the Islamic Republic is now going to focus on to take revenge, right? But if you compare, given that the sooner the Islamic Republic falls, the better the Iranian people will be, and the less death and executions and torture we're going to be having. Thanks to Israel, the date of the toppling has been moved forward a lot, and we could celebrate that at least. Yeah, Heavy Gretel is agreeing with me in the chat.
That's true. I think that's a good way of putting it. I don't know, it's just tough. Like, I'm beyond the point of treating regime change like it's a dirty word. Like, I have experience of being in the street with tens of thousands of Iranians literally chanting for regime change. Like, I'm supposed to act like that's all like dirty and taboo. Like, no, I'm not gonna act like it. But Armin, I have a question. So back in 2022, 2023, my experience is that Iranians were saying, like, look, you don't need to do external regime change. You just need to get out of our way and we'll do the rest. Which I think is, I mean, the rest of the world does need to get out of the way. The rest of the world does need to stop negotiating with their oppressors, negotiating and legitimizing the murderers. They do need to do that. But what is the current Iranian opinion on if this change can come from within? Or does it have to come from outside? Because I'm really leaning towards it's gonna have to come from outside.
Okay, I think it's a mix of both. I
Mhm.
think right now there are a lot of Iranian people who oppose the Islamic Republic. A lot of them are divided on this. Okay, there are many Iranians that say that we have tried again and again and again. We came to the streets and we died and we were killed in the most brutal way in large numbers, and we were not able to move the needle forward even by a little bit. They're looking at what Israel has done in a few hours, and they said, like, we have thousands of us have died, and we weren't able to produce the results that Israel managed to produce in 1 hour, even though we paid the heaviest of all prices for it, right? And those Iranians are saying, like, for like, okay, so we're useless, we're helpless, we are not armed, we cannot do anything. Like, we come into the streets and the regime has all the weapons, and it seems like us being in the streets has no effect. It has no
Yeah.
effect. And like Israel comes in, and just within few hours all of the top leaders of IRGC are poof, so they're like, okay, so we can't do it. Like, you cannot tell us that we haven't been brave, you cannot tell us that we haven't tried. We did everything. How much more of our children, of our fathers, of our sisters, of our brothers? Like, if you tell Iranian people go protest again, tell that to the father that has told not that their daughter was killed, that her daughter was arrested and was raped as punishment for being in the protest,
To the
and
point
tell
of
him
almost
to
being
send your
killed.
yes, as a punishment, tell them to send their people back into the streets, right? And so some Iranians are saying, forget it, we can't do it, we need Israel. Okay, and then there are other people who say that if Israel topples a regime, we haven't done a like, this is not, like, this is useless. Like, how could we start a new chapter of for Iran if the Iranian people themselves were not the one who brought about this regime change, right? like like how humiliating that is, that we were unable. Like, if we want to have a new Iran, it has to be done by the Iranian people. It cannot be done by a foreign force. um it should be by the people, for the people, right? It's our destiny. We should take matters in our own hand. We should make our own destiny, not rely on a foreign power, right? So these are the two different types of discussions that Iranian people have, and I honestly think that they are both right and they're both wrong. I think
Yeah.
it takes both. I haven't seen a successful revolution against a tyranny in history. Like, if there is one, it must be the exception, because most of successful revolutions against tyranny was
Had some help.
done had some
How am I
foreign.
as American supposed to be a hater on having your
Yeah,
revolution be assisted by a foreign power when that's literally how my
right.
country was founded?
Yeah,
Like, where do you
it's,
think the Statue of Liberty comes from? It comes from the French for a reason. Like,
right, actually, good point, because like sketch therapy is saying Iranian hopes must become Iranian action. If the USA and Israel don't see Iranians rise up, we will not go in Atheist Republic. They have to raise hope. Okay, so we're not talking about Americans, okay? We're talking about Israelis here, okay? Because we're talking about mutual benefit and mutual interest, okay? I'm not talking about America getting involved, because there's not enough mutual interest. I'm only talking about Israel getting involved, because the mutual benefit is just so much. It's a win-win. Okay, so I'm not talking about America. But again, if you're American, just remember that your entire country was founded upon a revolution that was assisted with by the French. If the French were not
and some
supporting
German
your
mercenaries.
revolution, if the French were not supporting your revolution against the British, you wouldn't even be a country today. And yeah, Idris in the chat is a French person who's
That
saying
made
you're
me
welcome.
laugh. You're welcome.
Well, Idris, let me remind you
Because
that
it was
that was paid.
it was in their mutual interest. It was in their mutual interest.
Yes, let me remind Idris that if it wasn't because of Americans, you would be speaking German today. So the Americans paid that back. So they paid that back. Okay, so you should be saying thank you to the Americans as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it takes both. I think the Iranian people, like, you cannot tell the Iranian people to mobilize. They have mobilized. You cannot tell the Iranian people that they must pay the price. They have paid the price. You cannot tell the Iranian people that they need to be brave, because they have been brave over and over and over and over again. 96, 98, so many, the rising up after the Massa, uh the killing of Massa, and every time they paid so much, and that didn't discourage them. They came back into the streets, and honestly, they feel so discouraged when they don't see the result, and then Israel comes in and they see so much results. They're like, what the hell? Okay, so we need foreign help. We need foreign help. A lot of Iranians could see, when they see as what Israel can do, they're like, okay, like, this might be humiliating, but we need them. We need them.
Yeah.
It needs to be done by both. It's both. It cannot be done. Israel cannot do it without. Honestly, Israel cannot do it without the Iranian people, and Iranian people cannot do it without Israel. And the reason why Israel cannot do it without the Iranian people is because Israel will never be able to have boots on the ground, and you cannot topple the regime without boots on the ground. Israel doesn't have the numbers. It doesn't share a border. Israel can have boots on the ground in Gaza, in Lebanon, and Syria, but it cannot have boots on. Iran is too vast, is too big. The number of soldiers that Israel has is too low when it comes to the number that it takes for you. I mean, it could do commandos on the ground, but it cannot have like the numbers it takes to for you to have a ground invasion in Iran. So the boots on the ground needs to be Iranian boots. It needs to be the Iranian people. So the final push needs to be done by the Iranian people themselves. Israel, however, could basically make the costs associated with that just lower. That's what they could do exactly. This is why this channel, the Persian channel and the English channel, a lot of the work that I do, I try to be somewhat helpful as much as I can, even though maybe it's a tiny bit. I think like the key to fixing the Middle East. Again, I really believe in this. The key to fixing the Middle East is the unity between the people of Iran and the people of Israel. That's how this is going to get solved. And that's why I really think that our channel, I mean, it's not a big channel, but I think we are uniquely effective, as in a small way, because we have an Israeli audience on our English channel, and we have an Iranian audience on our Persian channel. And I think that maybe we could be somewhat helpful in creating that bridge.
Yeah. We've
Yeah.
got some super chats. Afghani is just saying,
Okay.
did Susanna used to be a raging leftist? Yes. Whatever gave you
Yes.
that impression?
Yes, she was. She used to be.
I
She
don't know
was.
why you would
She was.
ever. I don't know why you would ever get that impression. Is it my raging hatred and disgust? Dude, speaking of these past 2 weeks, somehow I always think that there is no way I can hate progressives more. And I am always proven that there is another layer of hell that I have not yet discovered.
So-called progressive, let's be fair.
Yeah. Vikram, it's good to see you, Vikram. By the way, he's been in the chat talking about like Trump and not trusting him. I don't think me and Armin have like ever trusted him. I wouldn't ever frame it that way. It's just like when he does something that we like, we're not gonna pretend that we don't support it for the sake of being tribal.
Right.
You
I mean,
know?
I don't even trust myself. I don't like, no, seriously. No, when I have a view, I'm like, I don't even trust my position because I'm very open to being completely against that position that I have 1 week from now. If
I
somebody
wouldn't say
convinces me,
trust. It's like you're
right?
just being very. You have a lot of self insight into your willingness, which is a superpower, to change your opinion. I don't think that's not trusting. That's just not
Right.
being dogmatic and holding on to a belief with too much certainty. There's a difference.
Right.
Um, oh, we got a super chat from Shauna talking about living in the Pacific Northwest. So are you saying I should hunt down the Persians? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
100% yes. Um,
But that sounds weird out of context. Like, because people were not there when what are you
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of the Iranians in the Pacific Northwest area, especially on the east side of Seattle, like Redmond, whatever, they're Baha'i. So a lot of them are. We have like actually a Baha'i community, um, and they're the most hardcore anti-Islamists you'll ever meet because they're
I
like,
mean, yeah.
yeah,
Oh
we're
my, what kind of
treated
Islamist?
like dog shit in our country, so um. Oh, we got a chat from Mars. Hi, Mars. It's good to see you. Saying welcome back,
Hey,
Susanna,
Mars.
and thank you, Armin, for the recent streams on Iran and Israel. Yes, Armin, those have
Yes.
been keeping
Thank
me
you.
sane.
I'm gonna do a lot more of them.
Please. Also, Jewish Samantha is asking about your Baba.
Yes, my dad is good. He's fine. Internet is back in Iran, so we're completely in touch. So he's great. Yeah, he's doing
That's
well.
good.
Yeah.
Sketch Therapy is saying also if any Iranian cells attack in USA, Trump will bomb Iran again. Atheist Republic, it's a great excuse. No, he won't. And you know, I know why he won't is because that already happened. We have had assassination and kidnapping attempts upon American citizens on American soil, and
It,
we didn't do shit. We said, how can we go back to the negotiating table?
the thing is that they suck. Okay, so
Yeah,
sketch therapy. The Iranian. I mean, they don't have sleeper cells. Okay, like it's calling them sleeper cells. Like some people are trying to
that's giving it credit it doesn't
people.
deserve.
Yeah, some people like Tucker Carlson were trying to make it seem like, oh, the United States is going to pay a heavy price if they get involved, and they were making it seem like the Islamic Republic is a lot more powerful than it is. So the Iranian regime doesn't have sleeper cells in the United States. What they have is the ability to just hire local criminals with maybe some cryptocurrency, they don't even seem to be able to afford good ones. Right, so
To the
that's what
point
they
that
do.
people think that they're so bad on purpose.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yeah, but they're not the only thing that the Islamic Republic has that's going for it when it comes to power is its ballistic missiles. Okay, everything else, they suck at everything else. And honestly, they're not that good at ballistic missiles either. But that's the area where they could do the most harm, and also suppressing their own people. That's the two areas. Okay, attacking their own people. Some of their missiles are not that bad. Okay. But in anything else, they absolutely suck. I saw Tucker Carlson acting like United States would lose in a war with the Islamic Republic. I'm like, how is this guy a political analyst? He was like, this would be the fall of United States. Like, are you freaking serious? Do you not understand the strength of the United States compared to the Islamic Republic? He was in his analysis, he was seriously suggesting that this will cause World War III because the regime in Iran is part of BRICS. BRICS. Like what? Do you BRICS? Are you huh? Does he really think that Brazil will come to Brazil? And do you understand that B in BRICS
Coming
stands
to
for Brazil?
Brazil.
And I in BRICS stands for India. Like, do you think like Brazil and India is going to come to war against the United States to defend the Islamic Republic? Does he not understand that the BRICS is an economic collaboration? It's not like NATO. There's nothing binding any of the BRICS members to come to a defense military. Like, that guy has lost his mind. Like, I don't know where he's getting, like, why he's taken seriously by people. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Oh my goodness, we got a lot of super chats. Okay. Ginga is asking, are the Iranian people more pro-Israel after the war? Well, it's kind of too soon to tell. I mean, the dust is just settled.
So I will tell you, you get more people on both sides. Okay, so you are going to see some rally around the flag effect. That's always going to happen somewhat. Okay, so some Iranians who are against the regime, some of them turned against Israel and went on the regime side after the attack. And some Iranians who were pro-Israeli or anti-regime but were not anti-Israeli became more aggressively pro-Israeli after they saw the results. Okay, so I think the second was much higher, but I don't have any evidence to show that. Okay, but I could tell you there's both of them. There were some anti-Iranians, anti-Israeli, anti-regime Iranians who put their differences against the regime aside, and they were like, "Oh, foreigners are attacking us, so we have to support the regime." And there were so many anti-regime Iranians who were like, "Holy shit! Thank you, Israel. This is impressive." I mean, I like, for example, let me actually show you this. I got this just a few hours ago. Somebody sent me this picture in metro in the, I don't know what you guys call metro in United States. I know the
Subway.
British call it underground subway. Okay, yes. In the subway in Iran, for example, I just saw this image. People were writing "salute to Israel" in the subway in Iran. So this is in Iran. Like, people wrote this on the walls in Iran. So yeah, we have both of those events, both of those happening. But I think the second one is much higher. I think a lot of people were so happy to see IRGC commanders just being taken out like that.
Yeah. Yesenia is saying, I think the problem is that if it comes from outside, meaning regime change, it won't be internationally accepted, and whoever helps will be criticized.
I mean that, but then every single toppling of every tyrant, almost every single one of them happened with foreign help.
Yeah, but
I mean, the Nazis.
now that's seen as illegitimate. It didn't used to be seen that way.
I mean, the Nazis were taken out of France and with foreign help. Is that illegitimate?
No, that's what I mean.
Is
It
the
used to be seen as illegitimate, but now it is.
But how is it illegitimate? I mean, it doesn't matter what the. Here's the thing. Fuck the international community. What matters is that if the Iranian people consider it legitimate, and as soon as we have a referendum and we have fair and free elections, that's going to be good enough. It doesn't really matter how we got there. In my opinion, as soon as we get to have a referendum where the Iranian people could choose the type of the government, and then we have elections where people chose the assembly that writes the constitutions, and then after that we have another election where people choose the member of parliaments, uh, that's that's all the legitimacy that we need.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could keep going on that. Cat theist. Thank you for the super chat. Saying, I think Israel should train and arm their own proxies.
Like in Iran, they have what like in Iran. Do you guys know when we talk about Mossad agents in Iran, we're talking about Iranians.
That was actually the
What?
next super chat from Yesenia saying, we just need Mossad, I mean Iranians to help out. Except Yesenia, the thing is, it's not Iranians, it is
Yeah,
actual Iranians.
actual Iranians,
Not in quotation.
Mossad agents and Mossad commandos in Iran are basically Iranians who are anti-regime and taking Israel's sides, right? So that's, I mean, and there's a lot of them. And this is why we sometimes I hesitate to be against a lot of IRGC officers, because I don't even like, sometimes like I see an IRGC officers and I want to hate them. I'm like, hold on, like let's be like that might
Wait a
be
second.
actually a Mossad.
They
Wait a
might be a
second.
double agent. I can't criticize too
I'm
harshly.
I cannot judge too harshly. He might be a Mossad agent. Like I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. Like 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 a huge percentage of them. I mean, what? How do you think Israel managed to take out like the most important people within a few hours? Like there was one guy, and I kid you not, that they attacked. They missed him, so he got into his car and he went on he went to the his family, a member of his family's house, to stay the night there, and they took him out there. They knew exactly where he's going to go to hide. Like I don't know how they know everything, but they had, right, they had so much. Israel had so much information regarding their daily habits, where do they go, who they talk to, that even with the most advanced technologies, you would not be able to. A lot of analysts are saying there is no technology that will give you this much information. The only way Israel has this much information is if a huge percentage of the people in the government are Mossad agents themselves. That's the only way you could have this much information regarding the government in Iran, and which is good because now everybody is doubting everybody. Like they're all pointing fingers, like you are a Mossad agent. Who are, like they don't. And here's an interesting thing. They were killing so many students, political activists, journalists for being Mossad agents. And apparently, those were not the Mossad. They were the Mossad agents. The Mossad agents is the guy sitting right next to you. It weren't all the students who were protesting. It weren't all the journalists that you tortured. It was none of them. It wasn't the activists. The Mossad agents was sitting right next to you. It was probably maybe the guy that was giving you the command. Like that's how bad the situation is for the regime.
Yeah, that's not an
Yeah.
exaggeration. But this is really good because,
But
one
we're
thing that
very
the
impressed.
Islamic
It's just so
Republic
impressive.
is really good at is they are really good at doing psyops on their own internal opposition. They are really good at doing psyops on implanting mistrust between opposition groups. They're very good at it. And in planting paranoia, right? Well, now it's your turn.
Yes, yes. The poetic part is now, is right now they're very, very stressed. Like seeing IRGC officers not know whether or not they're gonna live to see tomorrow. A lot of Iranian people are enjoying that because that's how they were made to feel for so long. So them having to go through that level of stress and anxiety, a lot of people are finding it, you know, they're enjoying them seeing them experiencing that.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of people think that some Iranians are joking that every single IRGC officer that is alive right now, the only reason why they're not dead yet is because they're Mossad. Like if you're alive, you must be Mossad right now. So the entire yeah,
I don't know. Is it that
so,
far off? I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem that
right,
far off.
right.
Oh my god, there was this really funny tweet. Oh gosh, where was it? It was like some pro regime account saying like, oh, Iran just hit the Mossad headquarters with a missile, blah blah blah, and then someone responded to that, and it was a parody account, and they were like, "Oh, don't worry, we're okay. We're on Iran anyways." Um,
That was a really good joke. They're like, "Oh, we hit the Mossad headquarters." Well, the Mossad headquarters were empty because all the agents are in Iran. So
we're fine.
that was a joke by the Israeli, by the Mossad themselves. Like, no, we're not here. We're right next to you. I like how Mossad and the Israelis keep telling the Islamic Republic that we're closer to you than your jugular vein, because that's a Quranic verse. That's a Quranic verse where God is telling humans that He's closer to you than your jugular vein. So when Mossad is telling the officials in Iran, then we're closer to you than your jugular vein, because it's referring to a Quranic verse. It's also indirectly saying that we are your God now. We are your God, like, because that's what God is saying in the Quran.
Well, they do give them permission to take another breath, so
Right.
Sabine gave a super chat just saying, Susanna, I totally feel you. Take care of yourself. Thank you. And thank you for the generous super chat. Vikram also gave a super chat saying, did you watch the Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists Jubilee debate thingy? No, I did not. Mostly because I don't tend to enjoy that format that they have. I sometimes wonder if Jubilee is actually a psyop to make people more conservative, because the people that they have on to represent like the liberal side of things like are some of the worst people I've ever seen. Like the debate they did with Michael Knowles was a train wreck. I was like, this is supposed to make people like more LGBT supporting. Like, I think this is gonna backfire. This is a nightmare. Like, yeah. I don't really enjoy that format. Also, like, Jordan Peterson isn't like a full Christian, so I don't really know why he would be there to debate like Christianity and religion. I don't know.
I mean, I think he created his own religion. He has his own version of Christianity.
He has his own way of understanding it, which is fine.
Yeah.
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 But he's not a Christian. I don't think he's ever called himself a Christian.
Right. I mean, he has cried a lot. He has cried a lot about wondering whether the narrative world and the objective world comes into contact with each other through Jesus Christ, or if Jesus Christ's story is just if it's just like a myth, a very powerful and good myth, but like so he has like cried about it so many times. I've seen him cry so many times about thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if he knows.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. As I've learned more about orthodoxy lately, that has made so much more sense to me. It's made so much more sense to me because there's such a different mystical way of approaching things instead of a very legalistic, scholastic way that we have in Roman Catholicism. Like the concept of theosis is absolutely fascinating to me. So
it's more Sufi. It's more Sufi like, isn't it?
It's very contemplative. It's very like aesthetical. It's very like stoic in its own way. I'm like, whoa, this is so fascinating. I've never heard of something like this. Or the concept of like kenosis, like I don't know, it's so cool. It's so cool to me. I was like, wow. I don't know. It's one of those things where because there's parts of it that are so similar to how I grew up, but also it's so different. And I think
the way I think
things in your life, you're like, whoa, that's so interesting.
the way I see it is that if you make it mysterious enough, and you're not so, and you don't have a very well defined hard, limits for your framework, then it's flexible enough for anybody to just be able to bringing their own life philosophy and somehow make whatever they're saying reflect the life philosophy that they're coming to the conclusion of. Do you know what I mean? And is flexible enough to be able to work in that way. When a religion is poetic enough and vague enough about the concept of God and their philosophy, that vagueness has a utility, because you're coming in and you're already getting the rituals, you're already getting the community, you're already getting the ancient traditions that humans seem to need, but it also doesn't force you to say yes or no to certain things. And it's flexible enough for you to be able to say, like, you know what, that's how you're saying that, and it makes sense to me because to me it means this. And they're like, yeah, they're okay with that. They're like, okay, if you're vibing with it in that way, you go with that. And to
I
somebody
kind
else,
of
like, well, to
disagree.
me, okay, yeah, go
Like,
on.
to be a Christian, you have to say yes to certain things and no to certain things. Like, I
Yep.
think you have to believe in most of the Nicene Creed to be a Christian. You have to believe in the Trinity. You have to believe that that God became man and Jesus was fully God and fully man in one form or another. People debate, how exactly that happened. And I think if you don't believe that Jesus was fully God, then you're not a Christian.
Right. But like, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is that it needs to have. I'm talking about life philosophy. Okay,
Oh,
I'm not talking about those core principles. Right. I'm talking about like the philosophy of life that they have, like those surrounding things, not that core things, right? Also, a lot of them are just even like, you have, for you to be a Christian, you have to believe those things, yes or no, okay? But they're not. But they will not call you a Christian if you don't believe in those things. But they won't shut the door to you, right? That's that. So yes, they might be like, "Oh yeah, these are our core principles. You have to believe in these things." Like, well, can I come to your church and participate in the ceremonies if I don't believe those things? They're like, "Oh yeah, absolutely."
well, it depends.
So depends, yeah. I'm talking about the ones who do.
I know, but I don't like
I mean,
progressive Christians.
I used to when I used to I used to go church hopping in Vancouver, right, for a long time, for a couple of years, right. I didn't find a single church that didn't welcome me. I mean, some of them were friendlier, some of them were somewhat annoying, right?
No, welcoming is
Uh,
different than did they let you take the Eucharist?
some of them did, yes.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Nah,
Right.
they shouldn't. Well, look, again, because of where I come from, they shouldn't do that. But
I know, but in almost in the vast majority of them, once they learned I'm an atheist, they were more friendly to me than the other people around there. In the vast majority of them,
yeah,
right? Even though they knew, they figured out that I'm an atheist, that is a critic of religion, not just an atheist, right? So yeah, I mean, like, so I mean, if you like tradition, if you like rituals, you don't have to believe in Christianity. You could just use Christianity. You could use Christianity without being Christian. You could just go in. You're still an atheist if you don't believe in their stories, if you don't believe Jesus is God. I don't need, honestly, I don't need tradition. I don't need rituals. Okay. And I don't need a community because I have one already here in the live chat, right? So I don't need those things, but just because I don't need it, I think I realize that most people do. Like, I think it's wrong to evaluate what society needs based on your own personal needs. It seems to be a major part of human needs, these things. Like, I don't honestly need any of that. um I was church hopping because I was curious to see what people believe, but but given that so many, it doesn't seem like we allowed the free market to come up with some alternative to what churches or synagogues have to offer, and they haven't seemed to be able to find a good replacement, right? So just go into the church. Just if you really need that, just go into church. Go to your synagogue. You don't have to. You can still be an atheist, and you can still enjoy that if you really need that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very interesting. That's kind of one thing I've enjoyed about going to this Orthodox church is like, I think it would, they're like, I'm not, I don't know, this is gonna sound weird to people because I'm bisexual. I would not go to a church that is LGBT welcoming because I think I don't like progressive Christianity. I think it is illogical for a Christian to affirm sin. And so I appreciate the honesty and firmness of the Orthodox community being like, oh, you're welcome here. We're not going to say that that's okay, but like you can come. Like I just find it more intellectually honest, and I appreciate that a lot. Which is going to be confusing to some
So let me
people.
get this straight. Let me get this straight, okay? Because this is very funny, okay? As a bisexual, okay,
Yeah,
Susanna, as a bisexual, appreciates a church that tells her that bisexuality is a sin more than a church that comes out and pretends that it's not a sin.
yeah,
You like a church, yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. I literally told the priest that I'm bisexual, and I said, "Look, like this is part of who I am, but I would never expect you to tell me that if I went to go do that, that that's okay. Like, because that's not
Mm,
intellectually honest. How can I show up and expect them to change? Like,
right.
it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I appreciate their honesty and their firmness, and just being like, but they they're not treating me poorly because of it. Like, they've
Mm,
never told me I can't come or anything. They're just like, we have a belief. For them, their view is like, if we had an alcoholic relative and you told them that would be okay to keep being an alcoholic, like that would be wrong. They view it similarly. You can disagree with that view, but I appreciate the honesty. Like everything I know about, again, because of how I grew up, like the background, it just is it's incongruent, and I appreciate just the intellectual honesty. I'd rather be around that. Um,
mm.
yeah. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of super chats. Uriel is saying, Jordan, quote, my Christian God is nothing like anything we can pin him down on, Peterson. I mean, if you are a deist, if you are, it depends on the type of Christian, that's actually not, that that is how many people would define it. Like, I don't even think that that's necessarily so silly. Like the, again, it depends on your denomination or whatever, but for many people, that is God's nature, like, and him expressing that is honest. You know, I don't know if I'm making sense. Like for some people, the purpose is that mystery, and they're saying, no, 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 this is the space for mystery. This is beyond irrationality, and so they're just being honest about their own definition. I don't know if I'm making sense. Um,
Well, I think like what I've came to realize is that a lot of these things are not meant to make sense. They're meant to evoke a feeling in you. You know what I mean? Like there are these feelings that we need, um, and what when you get those feelings, the things that you need to believe in, or the things that you need to pretend that you believe in, to get those feelings don't have to make sense for you to be able to get those feelings. That's the way I'm seeing it these days. Yeah.
yeah, like it's defined in a mystery because the purpose is not to have a rational intellectual understanding, but to pursue an experience. That's kind of how I think about it. Again, it depends on how you seek that kind of experience in your life. Atheist is asking, what do you think about the new New York communist mayor? Well, he's not the mayor yet, okay? He's just the Democratic nominee. I guess people in New
Wait, he
York
is the mayor.
No, he's just the nominee. He just won the Democratic
Wait,
primary.
I mean, the New York is pretty. They always were Democrat, so I think that's it. I think he's the mayor.
Okay, I'm saying it's not. It technically is not true yet. It's technically not true
Okay.
yet. Okay, just because it's likely, we're holding on to hope. I swear. Apparently, you know, San Francisco is so far away from New York that they had no ability to watch what happened over there and how that went. I just want to say I feel really bad for all the working class and immigrant communities in New York, because you're going to go through the bullshit, and all the liberal elites that had the luxury beliefs of saying that this is the right vanguard of the revolution to get behind, they're going to get the fuck out of Dodge when stuff starts to go bad. So I'm so jaded. I'm
I mean,
so
the good thing
jaded
about
because of the weight of my experience.
Mm,
It's just luxury beliefs. It's just luxury beliefs all the way down. It's all these people who have the luxury of having certain beliefs that confer a certain social status upon them, but they don't have to live with the consequences of the beliefs that they voted for.
right.
It
I mean,
infuriates me. So,
as somebody who studied finance in university, I think the most damaging, like a lot of people are worried about his woke views, his anti-Israeli views, the fact that he's a Muslim. But the thing that I think
I'm concerned
is going to
about the
cause the most.
market.
No, like I think the rent freezes are going to be devastating to the economy. The fact that he's going to put a limit on how high the rents could go, like this is going to get capital out of New York faster than anything else. Like what the
Yeah,
hell? Talk
yeah.
about command economics. I mean the good here's a positive way of looking into it. But the good thing about United States is that it has 50 states and the mobility around them are easier than people moving from one country to another, and they all have their own way of governing things. So it's like it's like 50 different experiments, and it causes the mobility, because it's one country with 50 different experiments. It's in a unique position for capital and people to just switch when somebody fucks up. And I think that's one of the main reasons why United States has progressed so much, is because it's 50 different models competing against each other, with a lot of mobility for both capital and people between them. And I think United States always will win, because if a state fucks up, it will pay the price for it, and some other state will benefit from their mistake.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
It's like, if anyone's talking about giving away a lot of free stuff, like, you should be extremely suspicious. Do we have no common sense? Like, if someone's talking about giving away all this free stuff, it's probably because they want something out of you. Like, what? um,
Mhm. I mean, think
uh,
about the people who put so much of their time and energy to make enough money to buy an apartment as a form of investment to be able to rent it out. Like, you're stealing from them for the sake of winning an election. You're basically stealing from them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, uh, okay. Oh, on that note, Graham is asking, can Zohran be denaturalized? The answer is no. I mean, theoretically, you can
Mhm.
denaturalize someone. However, the level of crime that you would have to commit, and it's a specific crime, just not any crime, to be able to do that is like insane. Like, you would have to be a member of a terrorist group or commit fraud in your immigration proceedings for you to be denaturalized. We can't just take away his citizenship because he's like fucking socialist. Like,
Yeah, you wouldn't want that. You have to deal, like, you shouldn't even advocate for it. Like, nobody should even advocate for that. A
yeah.
country should deal with its problems. You know, you have it's you know, you don't deal with your bad ideas by just eliminating them.
Mm-hmm.
That never works. You deal with your bad ideas by actually fighting those bad ideas in, you know, in a by your good ideas. Like, that's not how. That's, you know, if you like, if you try to eliminate bad ideas by just removing the problem, then you're going to, that's the worst idea of all. Okay, that turns you into a tyranny.
Yeah. We got
Mm.
some super chats that we need to address because I need to go to work
Oh
soon.
yeah, let's go through them.
Um,
Yeah, and
Jean was saying the kibbutz movement was basically created as atheist Judaism with prayer books, spastic holiday traditions, and alternative ceremonies.
oh
There,
wow, interesting.
I mean, the kibbutz, they do seem like a bunch of hippies. Not all of them, but a lot of them. um,
Are they somewhat commies, like
well,
me
a
now?
lot of the kibbutz, there's variety, but it's kind of the closest to real life socialism I think we've had. You know what I mean? Like, ironically, for all the leftists, like, hating on Israelis and being like, oh, the kibbutz in the south of Israel deserved it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you look at their lifestyle, it's the kind of the closest to real functioning socialism I've ever seen.
Well, actually, that's the only form of socialism that I accept, because it's not really socialism for society. It's a type of socialism that's only possible in a capitalist society. Do you know what I mean? Like, the problem that I have with communism and socialism, if is that it's forced upon people. Okay, but if you have a rich enough society that has been made rich because of capitalism, for some people to be able to choose to live an environment like that without forcing it upon other people, that's technically not communism or socialism, because you're not forcing it upon people. It's only a result of a society that is rich enough due to capitalism for some people to be able to choose to live like that. So I don't actually have a problem with that.
Yeah. Um, uh, this is funny. Gene is saying, yes, the kibbutz is the most close to socialism. It didn't work for them, so they changed. Shock. Um, okay. Shauna is saying, uh, oops, oops.
You highlighted, sir.
Denaturalization is very, very difficult. Also, we don't want to open that door. It could backfire. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That people are like, oh, pundits are saying this. That is like detached from the possibility of reality. Okay, like that's not really gonna happen. So let's pursue options that are more likely.
Yeah.
Um, And then Maria had a big super chat. Thank you so much for this super generous
Thank you.
super chat, Maria. Saying, I'm a little behind listening, but I 100% agree with no trans in schools. My kid has had gender dysphoria since a young age, and he cannot stand the trans community. The trans activists set the entire LGBT community back decades. To be honest, I completely
Mm.
agree. I personally have, and I don't really talk about it on the show because I don't usually have any reason to talk about it, but I've gone down a huge wormhole and journey of like completely deconstructing everything that I thought I understood to be true about what we call transgender. And I don't know. I basically think all of it is a lie. Not all of it, but a large percentage of it. So, Maria, I'm really glad that you're supportive of your son with gender dysphoria. The very high likelihood is that your son will grow up to be a gay man. And I hope if your son grows up to be a gay man, that you love and support him. Because let me tell you something, guys, that they don't talk about. before the invention of puberty blockers, there was no such concept as a transgender child. What they had was mostly adult men who had transitioned to try to live as women, who were very unhappy with the results that they were getting. Why? Because they were not passing as women. And it's an inherently incongruent way to live. And that's upsetting, right? So they weren't having good outcomes. Instead of taking a scientific approach and saying, maybe we should reassess this process that we took because we're not getting outcomes that we had thought would be supportive. Instead, they said, oh, well, maybe these men that want to transition to be boys would be happier, men that want to transition to be women would be happier if we were able to start younger. Because then they'd be more likely to be able to integrate and assimilate into society as women. And thus, this realm of scientific inquiry began. And they did a study where they went to go look for, at the time, this is what they call it, they went to go look for the sissy boys. They went to go look for these transgender children. And they found a lot of children, well, not a lot, but they found some children that had gender dysphoria. And because they had no way to stop their puberty at the time, they followed them and studied them. What did they find? They found that somewhere between, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, 80 to 90% of these sissy boys that had this very effeminate behavior and said that they experienced gender dysphoria, they found that if they were allowed to continue into adulthood and grow into their adult self, the vast majority of them had a resolution of their gender dysphoria, and they went on to be gay. The children with gender dysphoria, the vast, 9 out of 10 are just proto-gay kids. They're just proto-gay kids. Personally, I don't think that that's wrong. I don't think it's wrong to be a gay adult. So I'm not going to begin in medicalized intervention upon a child that in 90% of the cases, 90% chance, they're probably just going to grow up to be gay. And they're having all these confusing feelings within themselves because they're attracted to the same sex and they know that the opposite sex is supposed to be attracted to the same sex. So there's an incongruence and they think, maybe I'm supposed to be the opposite sex. When they're probably just going to be gay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've done a lot of research into this, and I think everything about gender affirming care for minors is wrong and unethical. And I'm going to be completely honest, and people are going to be upset. I saw some people in the live chat are they probably feel hurt and personally attacked by my opinion. And I'm sorry.
Most people are agreeing with you.
No, but I see some people and that's okay. The whole case that we had recently where
most trans people agree with you.
Here's the thing. I'm very, very happy that the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee having their ban on gender affirming care for minors. And that was a relief to me. Because there's so much junk science in this field, it's terrifying. It has actually broken my belief in the scientific institution when you start to unravel how deep the junk science goes. And what I want people to know, because there's probably there's transgender people in our audience, and that's okay. I'm not going to hate on you. What I realize is
most trans people I talk to agree with you, Susie.
Well, that's not true. the ones
the trans people I talk to.
But in life, no. In the movement, no. Let's be honest. What I started to realize, because there is this in the general, broad, overarching transgender community, especially among trans rights activists, I'm not saying every person, there is a demand. And the demand is that you believe that I am what I say that I am. And that is a precondition for respecting me. And I have to be honest, I have completely disentangled that. I've completely deconstructed that. I sat down and I said, why do I have to affirm a belief to be able to respect someone and treat them with dignity? I realized I don't have to do that within myself. I do not have to hold something to be true and affirm it to be literally true within my reality for me to be able to treat any single person with dignity.
Exactly,
I don't.
Yeah.
I am capable of treating people with complete dignity, regardless of my opinion about their reality or what they say that they are or anything. You know what I mean? And so I live my life that way. You know, like there are, you know, and so I have no problem. And I just want to tell like people in our community that, because there's probably trans people in our community and they probably feel hurt by what I just said. And I'm sorry. But just because my personal opinion, that does not mean I'm incapable of treating you with respect and dignity. You know what I mean? I think people confuse the two. And when I talk about my opinion, some people are going to hear that I hate them and I think that they should be mistreated and I don't believe they should be treated with dignity. And that's not true.
Right.
So
yeah, what you should be expecting, whether you're trans or not trans, is kindness and respect. You should not, whether you're trans or you're not trans, it's ridiculous to be demanding that people agree with you, that they see things your way, that that have alignment in your view with you, in their views with you in anything, like regardless if it's your, forget like, oh, I want you to see me as a man or a woman, like forget that. If you ask them anything else, like, oh, I want you to believe in God, I want you not to believe in God, I want you to be this views in politics or that views in politics, that's a ridiculous demand for friendship. That's a ridiculous demand for us to be living next to each other and treating each other well. So it goes beyond like, oh, you have to accept me as a man or a woman. I think you shouldn't be asking that. You shouldn't be asking people to believe in anything as a condition for friendship. The only condition for friendship is respect and treating each other respectfully and with kindness, regardless of our disagreements. That's the only conditions that I think make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't know, a Christian believes that they have an eternal soul, or they should believe that, according to traditional Christianity.
Right.
I don't believe, and that's a claim that they have about their self, right? Like, I don't believe that. That doesn't mean I can't treat them with dignity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when I was a teenager, I used to have the opinion that, especially me and my household and all sorts of stuff, being like, oh, we need to move from people tolerating gay people to them accepting them and to them affirming them. Now I think that's totally insane. You can't demand that. We don't live in a theocracy, no matter if the belief is secular or political or whatever. Like, you can ask for tolerance.
Right.
You can ask for tolerance and like respect and basic dignity.
I mean, that goes with.
But then people are gonna
That goes with everything.
about what does respect and dignity mean, and like pull and pull and pull. So
I mean, that goes with everything. For example, as an atheist, I cannot ask a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew to accept my atheism. I could only ask if they tolerate it. That's they have done everything that is needed. If they just tolerate my atheism, that's enough. That's all I can ask for. They shouldn't be accepting it. Like, that's too much of a demand. It doesn't make any sense. Why should they accept my atheism?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or what I was saying earlier, like, why should we demand that a Christian affirms a sin? Like, that's weird to me. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
In the same way, like, I don't accept, like, if somebody is a Christian, I don't have to accept their Christianity for me to see them as a friend.
Or
You know what I
affirm it.
mean? So
You're not going to affirm
yeah,
it.
I'm not gonna affirm it, but I can still be their friends. Anyways, we got a whole bunch of. Oh, by the way, it was important. It was important. Jean had something because Jean is our trans admin. So I just wanted to see what she has to say.
Jean is saying,
So
at least on this point, most trans people I know agree with Susanna. They really don't care about it. I'm glad that your local community is like that. Because let me tell you, I'm probably gonna get doxxed here. So here,
right.
people need police protection to protect them from the trans community. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding. It's extremely violent. Against like old women with canes need to be protected physically by the police with arms from the trans community. It's extremely violent. So
Gene is saying, "Holy shit!" Yeah.
yeah.
I think I think
These
Israel's
people are
trans
way
community.
more chilled out in Israel. In Israel, they're like, we got
Yeah.
bigger things to worry about.
Yeah. I think Israel's trans community might be a lot more sane.
I probably fit right in. Okay?
Right.
Let me tell you though, here you need to watch your step, and I'm not exaggerating.
Right.
Nikki was saying, Susanna, are you leaving Atheist Republic? No, I am not leaving Atheist Republic, okay? I just needed to get my head on straight. Erican is saying, worker co-ops won't exist in a post-automation system, but consumer co-ops are actually very important post-automation. I love a good consumer co-op. That's fun.
Yeah, co-ops, choosing, not being forced to do co-ops, and choosing to do co-ops when it makes sense is completely in line with capitalism. If you're not being forced to it, if it makes sense for your company to do it and you do it, then that's not communism. If that's actually more capitalism, because it made sense for your company and you did it, and if it makes you more competitive and a better company, that's actually capitalism. That's not communism.
No.
Or socialism.
Sakai, oh my god, Sakai, it's so good to see you.
Hey.
Thank you for the generous super chat. Saying, hey, I haven't seen you both in a minute. Hope things are going okay in the midst of all the craziness in Canada and the US. Dude, I barely know what's going on in the US besides what's outside my front door, and I'm loving my life. My network in Texas especially is busy, and a friend in Alberta is scared of the referendum there. What's the referendum in Alberta? Alberta is a little bit of a terrorist haven, to be honest.
What?
Oh yeah, dude, I can tell. Edmonton? Look, my colleagues be telling me some things. Referendum. What is happening? Oh, a vote to secede from Canada?
Oh, that's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. They're not gonna get enough votes.
Okay, that's so silly. That's so silly.
I mean, it wouldn't be silly if they had the votes, but just they just don't. I think last time I checked.
Yeah, that's silly. I love it. And Shauna said, my friend's kids call it the bully flag, which is so sad because that's not what this was like when I was growing up, and I'm not even that old. Like, that shows you how far our community has fallen. That's what people associate it with. And this is why I don't really spend any time in the LGBT community, because I don't fit in. And it just feels like a leftist project. And people are quicker than anywhere else to denigrate your character and assassinate your character if you don't agree and you don't go along to get along. Like it's so sad. Like to give you an impression of how bad things are. Like I have a friend who his family literally put a hit out on him to murder him for being gay. And I was spending time with him one time, and we were talking about a lot of issues in the community, and he literally took a scissors and like cut up a little mini flag he had. Like someone who has literally been almost killed for what they are and who they are is so disgusted with their own community and how we behave that he decides to cut apart and destroy a symbol of what we are.
Wow.
Like that, watching that was like a very powerful thing for me. Someone who has gone through that experience, and this is how they now see like who is supposed to represent their group.
Can we not create an alternative? Because these people still need protection. I mean, there's still a shit ton of homophobia and transphobia in the world, and it's so sad that the LGBT movement has went into a direction that instead of protecting these people, it has turned it into something completely else. So I don't know if we could make an alternative movement that does what this movement was supposed to do before.
Not really. Like, to be honest, not really. Like, historically, the historical progression of this movement, it doesn't make sense. Also, there is so much money. There is so much money to be made in the nonprofit industry regarding this. There is so much money to be made. It's crazy. If you guys know how to use databases to look up grants, hundreds of millions of dollars are willing to be put behind this. It's and that's actually, I think, part of why the community has evolved the way that it has is because of the industry behind it. And like I work in grant writing. You know, I see how much money is involved. It's crazy. And not just government funds, although Trump changed a lot of that. Like private philanthropy. It's an insane amount of money. So, you know, like within the community, people create their own little alternative groups. And those get some traction. But it's never going to be on the same level.
All right.
No.
Well, this was very interesting. I'm so glad that you talked about these things, because I think, like, you know, I learned a lot from Susie. You guys know, like, I talk a lot to Susie, and I learn a lot from her. She does some deep dives into things, and she's such a good researcher, and she's such a good analyst. And then when she comes, I feel so lucky because I get to talk to her more than you guys, and I get to see the conclusions that she comes to after doing deep dives in things. And I think, like, I just got the conclusion of so many hours of research just by talking to her.
Yeah,
so I feel
deep
very lucky. Nerd alert. Yes.
Dude, I don't know. So people are asking about, like, oh, did Susanna leave and blah, blah, blah. No, I did not leave. Like, I do want to get back into the swing of things. I don't know if it's going to look the same way that it did before, because I don't know. I don't want to end up in a situation where I just crash out again. So I don't know. But also, I need somewhere to talk about all my opinions about things that are not religion related at all. Like, where am I going to have my rant on family issues? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, here, come, just dump it all here. Honestly, like, don't say you're not going to crash. Like, don't avoid crashing out. We all sometimes need a good crash every once in a while. Like,
I
that's
mean,
how it
sure,
works.
but it's not like everyone's allowed that, of course, but it's not fun. It's not fun to go through.
No, it's not just allowed. I think we need it. I think it's not just allowed. I mean, it's not fun, but I think it's necessary. I think it's good
Mhm.
for you. I
Yeah,
think it makes like you go through these episodes and you reevaluate things, and then you come at the other end stronger. You come at the end with a better understanding of how everything
yeah,
works. So even though it's not fun, I think it's actually the benefits of it outweighs the cost. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we got another super chat.
Um, yeah. Oh, Sam, thank you. Thank you for the generous super chat saying a welcome back gift for Susie. I've only been more active recently, but I'm a fan for a while. Happy to see you here again. Always love your takes. Well, thank you so much. That means a
Oh,
lot to me. Um, I am traveling for the next 2 weekends, so I don't know. I'm not going to be able to do a stream like our normal weekend time, but maybe we could do another weekday stream sometime over the
guys,
next few
can
weeks.
I like a hangout stream with Susie more than the news streams because I want to hear more what's on Susie's mind. Let me know in the comment section if whenever Susie has time to come and do a stream, do you guys I prefer just like doing a deep dive into what's on Susie's mind more than her coming here and do the news, like because now we're going to get less like Susie's going to be maybe sometimes less available given that she's so busy. Do you guys let me know in the comments if you agree with that, okay? Because I think we get a lot more out of Susie if we just listen to her talk. What do you guys think? Oh, people are agreeing
I
with me
also want to do
in the
more
chat.
like deep dives into different reports and think tank exposés on Islamism. Um,
Mm.
but that requires more uh, like thorough research than just
Can you do Islamism and also so-called progressive woke stuff as well? Like you could do interchange in like
sure.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
some books I'm reading. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay.
See, Seb is
Um.
one of the people who are butthurt.
Well, the vast majority of the people in the chat they
Yeah.
love you, so it's fine.
Seb, I'm sorry that
Um.
my opinion hurt your feelings. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just being
Yeah.
honest. And if
Yeah. No, I
my
appreciate the
honesty
honesty.
is incongruent with your way of the world, that's okay. I'm not going to hate you for that. Um, A gave a super chat. Thank you so much. Saying, I'm a psychologist and agree with Armin, but take care of yourself, Susie. Thank you. Oh,
Mm,
and another super chat. Thank
thank
you.
you.
I was agreeing about the crash out. I enjoy all Susie content. Thank you. No, I mean, I get it.
Thank you.
I get it. But I would like to avoid that if possible.
Right. Right. By the way, to people like Seb, go enjoy the echo chamber that you have created around you. Just go listen to people who only agree with you. I'm sure that's fun,
No.
not to be challenged. Yeah. Okay, guys. Susie needs to go, so let's end the stream.
I'm so
All right.
happy. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. All right. Oh. All right. Leave some comments, guys. Thank you, guys. And so subscribe and like the stream, hit the bell notification, share this channel. And I'm going to come back to you guys with more streams regarding, I think we're going to do more streams regarding Israel and the
Please,
Islamic
Armin, we need
Republic
some good news.
situation.
Please.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, look forward to that. All right, guys. All right, guys. Bye. Mwah. I'm Israel Kai and Javid Shah.
Chop and Shaw.
Javid Shah.